If I had the power to go back in time, the first thing I will do is go to every single person who was a fan of Musume before the global release, me included, and beg them to not ask for a global release. Because hands down, this game releasing globally is flat out just the worst thing to ever happen. Because my lord, the Musume community right now is just horrible. Because today, I am going to be saying two words that I thought I'll never have to say in my life, and that is Musume and racism. So, not so long ago on Twitter, an artist decided to draw her own official Musume, her own OC of Musume character. Mainly because this horse ended up just dropping, everyone ended up talking about it, and people were wondering how's the character gonna look as Musume character. And one artist decided to draw them as Musume character, and they made this art piece right here. Now, when this art piece first came out, no one really cared. People in the Musume community were excited about it. They were happy. They were saying this art piece looks amazing, giving her a bunch of praise, and then everyone moved on with their life. But then a couple of days later, it ended up blowing up on Twitter, and then a bunch of Musume fans with heavy quotations and racist people came in, and they just started doing what racist people do and just saying extremely racist thing. And now this art piece has become this whole ginormous drama, and it's just sad to see, because the Musume community used to never be like this. I have said this before, but man, if any of you wonder why you barely get face cam anymore, my camera just cut off and I had to spend like 3 minutes trying to get it to work again. I don't know what's happening. But when Musume first ended up releasing globally, everyone was excited. The Musume community was happy, until they ended up seeing the global community. A lot of people who ended up being attracted to this game were people from the gacha community, and also tons of gacha YouTubers as well started looking at the game. This is horrible because the gacha community is hands down one of the worst communities to ever exist on the internet. Extremely toxic, filled to the brim with racism, just anything bad that you can have with a community, the gacha community has. So when the original Musume global community ended up seeing that, they basically segregated the community to levels that I have never seen before. Because the Musume community before it ended up releasing globally was amazing. It was this fandom where you didn't need to worry about any of the slop that most other fandoms had. It felt like a real OG one that you will see back in the day, where it was just people talking about the series. You know, you didn't have to deal with any race war, any culture war, any of that. People just came in and they just did whatever they want. You know, they wanted to like draw fan art, they were allowed to. They talked about the characters they like, draw fan art. They even had like different skin colors edit before. What this person ended up doing isn't something that's shocking. I mean, even before this tweet ended up blowing up, a lot of people in the Musume community was fine with this. It was a nice place. And it was really like one of the few fandoms that I actually interact with. It was welcoming, it was amazing, everyone enjoyed their time, and everyone in the community knew how rare this was to have on the internet, to have a space where you could just sit down and talk. This is the main reason why a lot of people back then didn't even want to talk about Musume, because they knew how good they have it and they didn't want it to be ruined with it becoming mainstream. They just wanted to enjoy that small community that they had, where all of them came together talking about the same thing. I was part of it, and even I made some videos talking about Musume, and yeah, those videos barely got any views, but it was nice to see. It was a beautiful place. And a lot of people wanted to preserve that with any means necessary. So when the global community came in, a lot of those OG fans segregated. They basically split off and had their own community where it's basically still like that. And there is a huge chunk of the Musume fandom which takes place in those spaces, and it's still nice and wholesome. So that's one side of the Musume community. Then you have like the global side, you know, the side number two, where drama like this end up happening, where it's just a completely different space. That side of the Musume community, that whole like global side, is generally awful. It's just so disgusting. I deassociate and just pretend that side doesn't exist, and I only get reminded of it when like drama like this happen where tons of people are being racist, but it sucks, okay? It's very easy to tell when people are part of that community. You know, every single time when you have someone who's like a OG Musume fan, and then they interact with a new one, it's so easy to tell with the way how they speak, the jokes that they make, the fact that none of them know how to play the game. Still to this day, this game is like what? It's reached its like half-year anniversary. 90% of global players still have no idea how to play the game. Most of y'all people are like B rank stuck because you're getting garbage advice from trash websites and stupid gotcha YouTubers who make garbage reaction content and then also talk about political slop. That's a video I need to make on my own. VTubers talking about like political things, even though none of these whatever. But it's this crazy divide. And it's this insane segregation. And I understand why it's like that. I completely understand why it's like this. Because seeing this drama, I don't know, seeing a bunch of people draw like this character even though they know nothing about Uma Musume, seeing a bunch of people get introduced to Uma Musume like this and they just think it's this community filled to the brim with tons of racist people, which is not wrong. It's sad. It's just sad. It just makes me so depressed because I have been in this community for a long time. And this is the first time, you know, we ever had to deal with something like this. This stuff like this just wasn't a problem back then. And that sucks. That really does sucks. I don't think this is good for the long-term health of the Uma Musume community. I generally don't think, like, I don't know, man. I just don't really see the global Uma Musume community lasting as long as, like, the Japanese and Korean one does. Mainly because of the segregation that we have is so big. And I completely understand why it's like this, and that just sucks. That's just really, really sad. That's just really, really sad. It's sad. It's sad. But yeah, this is something I want to go talk about. My name is Lua. You have a good day or night. See ya.